everyone, this is Charlotte. It's a podcast called Chatting and Doing Stuff. Slightly more relaxed attire today. I'm heading towards a Christmas concert for my kids. So I got my tinsel. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I do swear a lot. So if you don't want to hear any of that jazz, I would suggest turning it off. Other than that, this is 18 plus. 18 is Australian legal age. I don't know about you guys, but you know, in Australia that's your adult age. So I'm assuming that you are of a mindset where you can tolerate swearing and sensitive content without losing your shit. I don't know. Sometimes we're naive in that assumption. But if you don't want to hear it, obviously turn it off. I'm not going to make you do anything. Never would anyway. Topic for today is toxic masculinity, which is a sensitive topic. I'm in my feminine state today, so I'm going to be more tactful, I would assume. My masculine state, my inner masculine state is more like hunt and kill, which is my generic go to work kind of energy. So, you know, you're lucky you got me in this phase today. Coming to the end of term, I'll be sitting in my feminine state anyway, because I need to heal. You do not want to meet me angry in my masculine state. So let's talk at this from a more wholesome viewpoint. Because my inner masculine doesn't tolerate bullshit at all. That's funny. He's a very adult male. What I would consider an adult male. So, where does it come from? Okay. Bearing in mind this is part of the survival mechanism that's developed over history for men to perpetuate existence within a society which sometimes works against them financially. But if you consider it as part of the patriarchy, which is at this point a dirty word, and men get incredibly defensive when you bring that word up, as the patriarchy is wrong. It's like, the patriarchy is the system, it's not you. You are just an actor in it. It's like a play. You are the actor in the we are an actor in the patriarchy as well. If we enable it and encourage it, participate in it, so we don't really have a choice as well. It's a system that men of a particular economic standing maybe have created and developed in order to control the masses. The problem with it is that it's toxic and that it hurts both sides of the equation, both men and women. It harms men just as much as it harms women. We see the more physical side of things with the women because, first of all, I'm biased because I am female. I know there are things like gender pay gaps, sexual assault, men developing a sense of entitlement when they think they're allowed to just do whatever the fuck they want and fuck women because they're not particularly human or they're just objectified, you know, things to entertain us. There's a whole array of ways that women are not looked after, basically, and I've got that firsthand. I don't have the male side of things. So if anyone wants to jump in with that discussion, I would understand you have a particular viewpoint. And I would listen because I want to know. But at the same time, it is a system where men have been so conditioned to put their needs aside unless it is something that contributes to this toxic image of what men should be. Whether it's sex, power, money. And it's become so overgrown that they're putting their emotions aside, they're putting their own basic self-care needs aside in order to pursue these things. They've taken the hunter instinct, which is a primal instinct, and they are trying to basically turn it towards, sorry, I'm getting a call, I don't know why, turn it towards, oh, go away, you. Encouraging conflict between the sexes. I won't say gender because everybody's doing everybody else's job in terms of gender norms and values and shit like that. So they're creating distance between the sexes, and conflict creates disarray. So if we're fighting amongst each other, we're not going to be working towards an active goal, which, if you want to talk about in economic terms, is related to, you know, rich people exploiting both of us. But if you want to go that way, that's a totally different conversation in itself. If there is constant conflict and chaos, there's no resolution, there's no working towards something. People are more inclined to fight each other, are distance themselves from the people who are instigating the fights, realistically. Just as I talked about with wars, it's rich people, usually white men, saying that's I don't like what they're doing. This is what I believe. I need you to go and fight them. And if you want to belong to my team, you'll go and die for my cause. In this case, if you're talking about in capitalist terms, it's a case of men need to go out and work, which is false because women go out too. They need to be hunters. You need to go and get the bacon. And women have to stay home. That is the trad wife kind of position, which has been outgrown because we found out it doesn't work, because in times of need, both women and men will work. It doesn't work though. But when people feel there is economic instability, they will become more conservative. And I don't mean the American conservative, because that's completely shit. They've completely rewired that to be something it's not. But conservative in their actions. Economic instability breeds a more conservative approach to control. So men, oh my gosh, because they are afraid of what could happen, and everyone's afraid of what could happen, will become fearful, and the reaction to becoming fearful is to try and control your surrounds. And that includes money, people around you, circumstances. So you'll try and find a way to control that. That control trickles down into how they treat others, including women. Women trickle down into how they control others, children, maybe, or their friends. It's that chaos where people are afraid and they need to react. And how do you react? You try and conserve as much as possible. You're like, this is scary. I don't know what's going to happen. I need to make a grab for whatever I can get. And that includes women, money, position, whatever I can get to promote stability. That is a human reaction. It's normal. It's the homeostasis of the human psyche. Your reaction is help. I need to make this stable. Now the problem is when that becomes over-controlling, and it's over-controlling in the population of the men in terms of toxic masculinity, where they're trying to control the women in horrible ways. We all know about those. I won't go into detail. Their friends. It's that grab for women. It's that grab for resources. It's that shitting on other men in order to self-promote, because if you eliminate the competition and it can't fight back, it's that control. I need to have control of the situation, and it gets outright nasty, and that's deemed sort of Machiavellian. Oh my god, so many lorries today. Why? Peak traffic. Why are you doing this? It's considered Machiavellian. Now I was given Machiavelli's birthday. I was born on May 3rd, so I have some energetic value to that. Machiavelli was actually just observing the already established bullshit that was circulating during social upheaval and in social circles. He wasn't saying it was good. He was just saying it's there. And he was actually giving you advice, or giving these principalities advice as to what could happen if they keep stuffing up or are being overly abusive and controlling. If you've read The Prince or The Republic, you'll find out that most of the information he talks about is just observing what people in power are doing and the outcomes and what they should be doing. He was trying to give advice. So he was trying to mediate the over control and the abuse of power. He didn't say this is what you should be doing in terms of you should go out and conquer and control and basically be an emperor in reverse. He was saying this is what's going wrong. He was just an early days social analyst, and people took him for some great mastermind. He was very observant. He knew what was going on, and he could see the ripple effect. Could have been an autistic, who knows? But if you can see it coming, surely you should counteract what's coming if it's going to be negative. That's maybe where this toxic masculinity stemmed from, this fear of not having, the fear of missing out, where you feel that you have to control everything. Now these men, current men, and there is some upheaval in it now, there's current men have faced things like wars, just like women have. Wars, famine, pestilence, all this chaos that's creating upheaval, economic upheaval, recessions, things like this, where they are living on the streets. They're not sure what's going on in their relationship because they don't talk about their feelings. No one's using complete transparency in their relationships, for example, because they're afraid of what it might look like to the other person. You'll find that people have a lot more in common mindset-wise if you actually just voice your opinions. Women do think like men. Men do think like women. It's interactional. There's no black and white. It's a spectrum. I have masculine traits because I was raised as a man. I might have the girl body parts, which is more interesting on a, it's a nice addition. And I am bisexual, but I go both ways. But I was raised to think like a man. I was not raised to think submissive, which is engendered, really, because no one should be really thinking that way. It puts you at risk of being exploited. You need to be able to think for yourself. You need to be able to make the cuts. When I got married, I was completely submissive to my husband. I thought it was the right thing to do because it was part of the upbringing I had. When you get married, you cleave to your husband. That's what you do. I didn't realize that it was a rudderless ship and he had no fucking idea what he was doing. And I was basically blowing the wind in the sails with it going nowhere. Because he kept parking the brakes and dropping anchor at random fucking times. So that's a weird metaphor, but it is a pretty accurate one. He kept putting water in my fucking ship, little bastard. Why do you keep breaking my shit? These days, I'm not submitting to anything. I would rather be an independent individual. And I know guys hate that. I've been watching the podcast. It's like, she's an independent woman. Yes. So, I'm an adult. That's the thing you should be looking at. It's not that I'm female. It's that I'm an adult. And so I'm independent. That's how you should be operating. Competence in adulthood. Past 18, you should be looking to become as refined in competence as you can. It's not to do with your sex or gender. It's you're an adult. Do it. It's like, don't be a dumb fuck. You're going to need these skills regardless of whether it's cooking, cleaning, perceived as female, or, fucking renovating houses, which I can also fucking do. It's, look at how your skill set is developing. But men in this toxic masculinity state have said, those things are girl things. We're not doing those, the cooking and cleaning, because there's no need for it. Our primary objective here is to go out, hunt money, power, attention, women. Once we've got those, our job is done and we don't have to do anything else. Now that just makes you a useless individual, because once you've got those, what is the point? What are you going to work on next? The woman will do the house cleaning. No, they won't. They've got shit to do. The women also now have to go out and work to compensate for the men just, stopping midstream. It's like, I've done it. It's done. I don't have to do anything else. I've got a woman. She'll handle everything else. It's like, no. This is co-leading. You need to contribute still. The game doesn't stop because you think you've won mid-game. It's a work in progress. When you sign on to a marriage, for example, it's a working document. You're going to be working together. It's a project. It's not a case of, I signed on, this is a group project, I'm going to sit in the background and claim the victory. It's like, no, you both have to contribute equally. Anyone who's done a group project knows how shitty it is to be the one doing all the work and all those fuckers turn up late in the project. And you're like, we want the grade as well. No, you don't get the fucking grade. And what you'll find that a lot of people in those groups or those marriages will leave early. It's meant to be a lifelong project, to be honest, as long as you love them. But they'll leave early because their efforts in the situation aren't being appreciated. That's how you get such a high rate of divorce, particularly from women. And then that feeds into things like the toxic male loneliness pandemic, because women feel such a release from taking this burden off of us. And the men are at a loss because they haven't developed the skills to exist on their own, and so they get lonely. Their friends are not their friends, they're competition. And that's residual from when they were in their 20s or when they're in that age where they start looking for a mate. Their friends are not a backup emotionally because they don't talk about emotions. They don't work with each other that way. It's surface level conversations. It's usually, if they form some kind of alliance or team, it's to get a directive done. We hunt for women at the pub because we get them shit-faced, and that's how we hunt for women. Or we're at work and we work together to get this. It's no real in-depth emotional connection. It's always a surface level, purpose-driven connection. It's transactional. If you help me, I help you. To be unconditionally involved with someone reveals, like, you need to be vulnerable, particularly with things like women. We want to know that we are safe. We have such a history and a background of being fucked over that at this point you'll find a lot of women are just not even bothering to date because it's not safe. It's not safe. And it could be something, the surface level is just our emotions, not surface level, but as minimal as emotions. Or is it our physical safety that we're just not trying anymore because the risk is too high? And for some reason a large population of men are just oblivious to our needs. So we have a background in already being screwed over and our safety is at risk. Why would you get upset about posing scenarios where, potentially some shit could go wrong? And you're just like, oh, but it's me. It's like you assume that we know that. We're not that kind of psychic. We've got intuition. We see flags. But, you know, it's standing in a room with guys, since one of them's got a knife and has a propensity to get a bit stabby, but you don't know which one. And the rest of them are like, well, he never stabbed me. It's like, we don't know. That's the toxic side of things. Is like, you might not be the perpetrator, but you'll cover for them. It's like, he hasn't stabbed me yet. Yeah, but he has a propensity for stabbing women. It's like, oh, there we go. Yeah, so it's, guys aren't getting that. We want to feel safe. We want the connection. We love love. But at the same time, we fucking do. It's cuddly, it's warm, it's fluffy, we love it. But at the same time, the safety issue is at risk here. We can't get connected and involved with these guys because we don't know which one of them's packing. And then they might pretend that they're not packing for a good couple of months, and then suddenly, you know, it's risky. Risk is not being, you know, the risk to reward ratio just isn't there. And for some reason, because the guys know, well, it's not me doing it, they can't understand that someone else might be still facing the scenario. And so we, you know, we get posed as we're just whining. It's like, we're not whining, we're genuinely fucking scared for our lives, dude. It's like, you're not seeing the problem. And because you're male, unfortunately, yes, you get painted with the same brush. We don't know what kind of a person you are until we've been, say, living with you for a couple of years or something, and then some shit goes down, and turns out you are a bit stabby. It's like, oh dear. But he wasn't like this at the start. No, because when put under pressure, this is when we react. Or they react, guys react. And there's a lot of in the toxic male culture where men settle their differences with fists. Violence is the first sign of, what do we do with this problem? We break it. We hit it like a jukebox until it works. So women are facing this problem where we're not safe in our own homes. If we have a problem, we're trying not to bring it up because unfortunately something might go wrong and we're not right. We're not safe to say. And to be honest, that cock blocks guys, because women at this point aren't even bothering to interact with them at this point. And that's how a build-up of incel culture has begun. Because guys showing the first signs of shit not working because they've been, you know, asking their mates for advice without actually asking a woman for advice. This replicated information that's been passed down through the generations, which is wrong and irrelevant and not working anymore. Women are finally starting to say, we don't like this, and guys are going, you should like this because all the other guys said you should like this. It's like the other guys are wrong, and they've lived in it and ingrained in it, and they're so saturated and marinated in it that they cannot focus on the fact that it's not right. And finally we're stepping up and we're saying, we don't like it. But you have to like it because society says you have to like it, and the other guys said you have to like it, and my guys' opinions matter more than you actually saying first-hand accounts of whether you like it or not. You know, it's just because it's occurred so profusely in the community and society doesn't make it right. I mean, look at slavery. It was fucking everywhere, doesn't make it right. You know, this exploitation of women just because it's everywhere doesn't make it right. In fact, the fact that we're standing up and saying something about it in the face of such potential violence and risk to us, and we're bothering to stand up and say we don't like it, should be a clear-cut sign that it should stop. It's crazy that they're not seeing it. I'm going, do you actually want a girlfriend or a wife or not? Or because at the moment you're presenting in a way that you only value male opinions, so you're emotionally, and I love this phrase, you're emotionally gay. Your bros' opinions matter more than the person you're supposed to love. So you love your bros more than you love a woman. You're emotionally gay. I love that. I heard that and I pissed myself. I'm going, it's true, it's true. it's just true. And it's distancing yourself from the female condition. I mean, we all have an element of both sexes within us, which is why I joke about my inner masculine, my inner feminine. I also have an inner child, which comes out to play when I find the right person. It came out to play a lot with my ex-husband, which is why he sunk into a situation or a situational mindset where he thought I was an idiot. It was like, just because I'm acting like an idiot and having fun doesn't mean that I am an idiot. In no way. I've got the paperwork to prove it. But the assumption that I wouldn't clue on to what he wanted to do is dumb. It was dumb in itself. And he placed his wrong bets and I left. I don't know whether he's lonely now. I don't know. He was always surrounded by men. Quite frankly, I think he was gay. But, you know, I'm pretty sure something was going on there. I might have been naive in that, but I don't know. But, you know, you get toxic masculine shit. Now, the problem here is they don't know what to reach for, which is a good role model because they're so surrounded by these toxic men. These red pill podcasters which are telling you, you have to do this to get a woman, you have to do this to get power. I mean, any Andrew Tate fan will tell you what kind of a man you need to be. I mean, where does that go? A bunch of lonely guys staying at home because no one wants to talk to them. Their friends don't like them because they're assholes. The girls don't like them because they're assholes. Their parents will denounce them because they're doing dumb shit. It's like, you know, no one's going to want to hang around you if you're doing these aggressive, conflicting, nasty shit. It's you got to work on that, dude. If you look at, you know, my heritage is Viking, Norse sort of thing. Denmark, actually, to be brutally honest. Irish. My family line through my granddad came from Denmark. But at the same time, you look at the All-Father, Odin, the great masculine entity. What was he? He was a fighter, yes. He was also a father figure. He was a man that was a protector of women. His children were great kids. Some of them were a bit weird, but, you know, generally they came out all right. He was a father, he was a fighter, he was a lover, he was all these things. And this is what we hold up in that particular culture, if you want to go back into paganism, as what a masculine entity is. It's not just all aggression and hoarding and nastiness and backstabbing in order to get what you want, and manipulation, Machiavellian horribleness. It is a good, solid, masculine, reliable foundation we can build with that will protect us when need be. Not that a woman should be leading you into any kind of conflict. That's not our job, to go and pick a fight with someone because we don't like them. We are natural healers in our female form. Men have healing in their female form. That's why you get male doctors. My friend Chris is a male nurse. He's lovely. I'd love to have him looking after me. But you have feminine and masculine in you as a man. The toxic side of thing comes out when you lean too hard into the negative side of it, and the negative side of it stems from fear. Fear of missing out, fear of what my friends will say, fear of what society will say about me, and I'm not man enough because I'm not doing these horrible things, and it just gets amplified and snowballs into some horrible, horrible loneliness pandemic. And that's where it gets really fucking sad, because my granddad Bob, for example, did all these masculine things and he abused women. The women left. He went after money. His family left because he didn't give a fuck about his family. All these things, you know, the power, the control, people, his friends left, or he never made any because, yeah, you can get up my ass, darling. It's still a 40 zone and I don't give a fuck. Suck it. This nasty shit. Go away. The control, the power, I have to get up your ass because it's a 40 zone and I'm important. You're not important. This is the law. Suck it. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. But he was left alone. He died on his own. Everybody abandoned him because he led this toxic masculine lifestyle. It was all about the money and the prestige and looking like he's doing something and hoarding all the women. And, you know, no one liked him in the end. And he died alone. And he was lonely, I can guarantee it. He grew up in a situation where nobody brought up an alternative to how men should be. He was he was a soldier in the Second World War. That's an uber masculine profession, I have to say. If you've looked at any of the female interactions with men as soldiers, there's a whole bunch of sexual assault cases going through right now, both in the UK and Australia, where women are taking on these deemed masculine professions, even though they're unisex. Because women can still fight. We still had Vikings and shit like that were female. But they're the male toxic traits which are in the population of those soldiers. It's just not, it's not men. It's people who are willing, I suppose people who are willing to kill and just not give a shit. And they don't give a shit about anything else around them because it's so temporary. I mean, you're not going to get attached to anything emotionally in the field because at some point you might have to kill it, right? Or they might die if it's one of your teammates. So you need to practice a bit of detachment there. But at the same time, if you transfer that into staff that are on your team, the practices that people do and how they interact with women, for example, in their team, it's just going to be absolutely toxic, and people are going to get hurt, and you won't have team members. They won't want to work with you, and you're going to be left on your own holding a gun, and you're going to be like, go fuck yourself, I'm not helping you. Consider that in the civilian sphere. If you treat your teammates like shit, if you're a man treating a woman like shit, they're not going to want to work with you. This is not your crew. You are now a liability. So you've got to lose those toxic traits. It's not helping you in the field. It's actually a hindrance because no one's going to have your back. These men that are friends and bros and buddies that only hang around each other to, pursue women and treat them like shit in pubs, they're not your friends. They're actually cock blocking you because you're competition. They just tend to physically hang around you for the same goal. we're gonna hunt together, we're gonna hunt these women together, but at the same time, if I find one that I like and you get in the way, I'm gonna knife you in the back. I'm gonna self-promote, and then eventually when I find one that I want to keep, I'll ditch. I mean, you think about it, it's not healthy, it's not safe. You will find as a population of men that even though they've had these bros for so long, will be alone at a particular age. And it's that toxic masculine thing where they can't emotionally collect any more than on a surface level. And that only has, it only works up to a certain point, a certain age. Once everybody's sort of settled and they're into their families or shit like that, everybody goes their separate ways, you'll find a whole bunch of men that are just left behind. And that also promotes fear. Okay, so they'll become embittered and lonely. And there's a pandemic. And I do wonder, if it's a case of, the high suicide rates in men, is that a result of the toxic masculinity where guys can't talk about their feelings, where they're subjecting themselves to these practices that just promote loneliness long term? To be honest, you're going to get abandoned, obviously, if you're being an asshole and conniving and backstabbing and, I got to get this and I've got to get greedy with my money and my power and shit like that. It's creating it. There is also the other side of things, which I was thinking about this morning, actually. If you've got a bunch of guys that are participating in practices like coercive rape and stuff like that, assault of women, could this also be the result of them facing accountability for their own actions? Like, you might do these things assuming that you're right, but at the same time, you still have a conscience. So we look at these people that have committed suicide, and it sounds very dark, and you can't say that about people who are unaliving themselves. And I'm going, well, let's just look at this objectively. Are they individuals who are actually facing the consequences of their actions? Because you'll find the male suicide rate is actually higher than the female, but the females aren't participating in things like rape or murder. It's all the shit that we do that's anger-based or violence-based is usually reactive to a man doing it to us. It's reactive. So if you'll find a woman killing a man, it's usually because he's done something to her. It's rarely a case of, I just fucking felt like it. So we've been raised, toxic female, of course, and I will do a podcast of that, but toxic man where, they're having trouble struggling to deal with the accountability because they become so saturated in this toxic masculine mindset that they have to act a particular way, that when they're faced with the consequences of their actions, they can't handle it and they kill themselves. That is one potential outcome of these toxic masculine traits. So if you can nip it in the bud in the 20s, when the guys are starting to develop their personalities a bit more and their frontal lobe's starting to really start forming, maybe we can avoid male suicide rates and also female abuse. The correlation is there. I can't say it's a cause and effect, but I can say, the result of the actions of each sex on the suicide rates. You're sitting there thinking, I can see a pattern here. Maybe it's that. It's like, so maybe the toxic masculinity really isn't helping either sex, but why are we still perpetuating it? So that's pretty much food for thought. These are the shower thoughts I have in the morning. I'm going to have to leave it there because I'm at work and it's already 8 o'clock. I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic Friday. It's Phrase Day. Take it easy. If you are feeling lonely as a male, maybe we need to consider what you're doing in your everyday activities, which might be contributing to that. And I've already done a podcast on male loneliness, which was a bit frazzled and scattered because I was heavily caffeinated. I've done that a few times now. Everything's fixable. You can fix this. You just need to redirect your energies and patterns and start looking at what you can do to promote inclusion and stability and things like that. It's fixable. There's no point to getting bogged down in the nastiness of the world just because they've said this is so frequently occurring that you have to do it. No one's going to make you do anything. Not really. You get a choice. That's why we were given divine will. The free will is a divine gift. It's like you are an adult. You make your own choices. Unfortunately, yes, you may have to face accountability for your actions, but if you're doing the right thing, you should be okay. And sometimes there will be a weird phenomenon where you do the right thing, but it doesn't come out the right way or the perceived right way. And you need to recalibrate and think, what am I going to do next? So redirect your energies. Maybe this wasn't the right answer. And that's how we get things like, is it conflict theory where you're talking about knowledge banks and things like that? I don't know. It's been a while. I'm going to have to look into it. Either way, if you work ethically, you will be fine. Hopefully, this is what we're looking for. The question is, how do we define what the ethics are? Which is another podcast episode in itself. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a fantastic Freya's Day. Take it easy. Show some self-care. Go and get a coffee. Get your mind thinking. Start reassessing. We've got the Year in the Horse coming in January 1st. So, that's going to be full speed ahead, getting active stuff done. It's also what I find interesting. I've been seeing the podcast, it's going to be the masculine year. So we've had the feminine year this year. It's the masculine year next year. So it's going to be a case of a lot of divine masculine sitting there re-evolving and reassessing what they're doing and possibly redirecting their energies into something more constructive than being fuckboys. So I'm excited for them. You can do this. I know you can, because we both need to ascend. Let's go. And I'm tired of waiting, god damn it. It's taking forever. You guys are so slow. And bogged down, and it's, you know, we got to deal with that. So take it easy and have a fantastic Freya's Day. And I'm not going to be doing a podcast on the weekend. And I don't think, honestly, I'll even be doing my typing, because I feel a little bit low energy lately. So I'm just going to take the weekend off. Have a good one.